In March of 2023, I decided to embark on a great adventure. Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I decided to purchase every piece of Creation Club content for Fallout 4 to see for myself whether all of these mini DLC offered any additional value to the Fallout 4 gameplay experience. It's been a long road, but we reached the finish line. As someone who tries to keep an open mind, I did end up a little bit more disenfranchised than I had been when all of the CC content I had owned up to that point was for free during giveaway months. But I believe that there are still plenty of positives that the Creation Club can bring to your Fallout 4 experience. Now, normally we would probably release two separate videos, one detailing the 5 best things about the Creation Club and one detailing the 5 worst things, but honestly at this point I'm kinda burning out on making videos about Creation Club, so that's why today we're going to try a mishmash 5 best and worst things about the Creation Club in Fallout 4, in no particular order. Before we begin, I would like to address a few things that were either missing from the other videos in this series or simply didn't fit into the categories of weapons, armor, or workshop expansions. So the very first item I reviewed was the handmade shotgun add-on. I ranted and railed about the fact that it was just a reskin of the vanilla double-barreled shotgun, and one that makes no sense if you have even a basic understanding of ballistics and firearm design. I also mentioned that it was appearing so frequently in-game that I actually felt that I needed to remove it from my game files, because seriously, it's boring to find one of these on every single dead NPC in the Commonwealth. But by removing the HMS add-on, I had also apparently missed the fact that some vendors in-game will actually carry a unique triple-barreled variant. Now there's no way in hell that I'm reinstalling this add-on just so I can try out the triple-barreled version and then have to remove it again, so I'm just going to compare its stats on the Fallout 4 wiki. Seriously? Are you kidding me? It does an additional 5 points ballistic damage over the 2-barreled variants. Why is this so important to people? Combat Shotgun does the same base damage, has better upgrade options, has higher ammo capacity, and can be found more reliably. I'm not mad, I just do not get the fascination with this one. But let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Yep. It's a backpack. You can change the color, you can change decorations around, the various decorative choices offer different buffs, and all variants increase your carrying capacity. Best of all, it doesn't occupy any of the vanilla item slots, so you can still have a piece of armor equipped on every single slot and still carry your backpack. But let's be honest here, this is a pay-to-win item in a very real sense, which is sort of pointless for a single-player game that has multiple difficulty settings. I honestly have stopped noticing it's even there, but the more I think of it, the more it kind of feels like I'm cheating, which is really pathetic because I typically already play on normal difficulty or below. Also, the straps tend to clip through some clothing and armor, which is really distracting, so I think I'm just going to get rid of it. Vault suits. So I didn't review this add-on because I personally consider them skins. You are just taking the vault suit object from the vanilla game and adding a field in the workbench to change its color and number. I had one commenter and it was just one person, and they were extremely upset apparently that I did not include this in our armor list. This is a skin, even if the different colors offer different buffs. This is an item that already exists in game, is already upgradable to do all sorts of different buffs already. It's a skin that tried just a little bit harder than any of the other Creation Club skins you can buy. I also wanted to bring up a point of contention in the comments from the earlier videos. When I talked about removing the handmade shotgun from my game files, I mentioned that this was a luxury for PC gamers and said that console players were stuck with the add-on if they installed it. Now this caused a flurry of console players to fire back saying that it could be removed, you just have to completely remove Fallout 4 and reinstall it, along with all DLC and any CC content and mods you actually want. Now I knew this ahead of time, it's not like anything you add to your game files gets permanently hard-coded to your hard drive or something. That would be stupid, and you really should be thinking about using a different console if that's actually the case. I just assumed that y'all console players knew that, and something as trivial as removing a shotgun wasn't worth completely removing your game, risking your save files, and then downloading the 90 some odd gigs that the game currently occupies. At least it's that big on PC with most CC content installed. I have no clue what it is on your Xbox 420 69 XS LMNOP series. So yeah, it can be removed as long as, you completely remove Fallout 4 in the process. That's just not a requirement for PC players, okay? And that's it for new business. So now that we've officially discussed and reviewed every item that you can buy in the Fallout 4 Creation Club, let's talk about what the Creation Club does that's solid and what it does
not so solid.
I think the biggest selling point for the Creation Club is that it adds new gameplay. To that end, it does in fact add quite a lot to the game. It adds dozens of quests that vary from basic fetch quests to epic journeys across the Commonwealth. Throughout this experiment, I gathered about 13.5 hours of new gameplay footage. This might seem like a glowing recommendation, and indeed, it was a lot more than I had anticipated getting out of this experiment, but that number is also a bit misleading as I do tend to play stealth sniper builds, so it does take more time for me to sneak through a dungeon and dispatch enemies than it would for a run and gun player. Also, a lot of that footage is free camera footage, so yeah, your average player probably isn't going to stop what they're doing just to float around a room and see the sights that can be sought. Also, this gameplay does not feel the same as Fallout 4. What I mean by that is that it feels empty, or it just feels injected or non-native. It doesn't really belong in the game. Even when we're trying to grab a Tesla cannon or a suit of XO2 power armor, things that are existentially Fallout, it just doesn't feel like you're playing Fallout. It's hard to explain, but I think some of the other items on this list might make that point a bit more clear. But in addition to this insert quest here feeling is the fact that for any add-on that takes the time to add something new and fresh to the game, it feels empty. So for example, the Hellfire add-on, it just plops 3 NPCs into a stand of trees in the Commonwealth. Or the Prototype Gauss Rifle add-on that just adds a single additional gunner to the rooftop at the Gunner Plaza. It adds a task that needs done, but doesn't add any substance to the game. I'm not sure if I'm properly communicating this point, and I'm not sure spending any more time on this will make it any clearer, so for now I'll move on with the list. The quests that are added in the Creation Club, just like anything in Fallout 4, can be pretty hit or miss, but with that said, there are a few that really stand out as either just being great stories that feel like they really need to be told, or at the very least have a lot of potential, only requiring a couple tweaks here and there to move them from okay to awesome status. There are a couple add-ons that even now, after several months have passed, that really stuck with me. Probably the best is the XO2 Power Armor quest, which follows the footsteps of a soldier who isn't willing to give up on their duty, but is also suffering from a debilitating case of PTSD. If you are a longtime viewer of the channel, you have probably surmised that I'm a military veteran, and though I joined wishing to serve my country and often feel like I didn't do a whole lot while serving, I find myself extremely grateful that I was passed over for all of the deployments that I volunteered for, because the people who went in my place came back damaged and broken, and I feel that stories that honor those sacrifices should be told, even if it's just in an imaginary setting like Fallout. But there's one thing that all of these quests have in common that really sucks, and that is none of them include voice acting. I get that they can't exactly call Brian Delaney and Courtney Taylor back to reprise their roles as Nate and Nora for a tiny add-on that may not sell. So there's good reason that conversations between the player and other NPCs can't really be a thing, but why can't they do holotape recordings, voice logs, conversations between NPCs? Instead, 100% of quest dialogue, backstory, and direction are delivered through textual media, diaries, books, and terminal entries. It made most of these quests really immersion breaking, and even the good ones are really hard to commit to when they are delivered via random pages of paper left in various dungeons. Another major thing that Creation Club users are after is an expansion to the way that we can approach Fallout 4 gameplay. To an extent, I think that it does accomplish this task. If you really like heavy weapons builds but are getting bored with the 7 or so heavy weapons in Fallout 4, or you're just having trouble keeping them fed, then there is the Tesla cannon and the heavy incinerator. If you're standing in the middle of your walk-in power armor closet and can't find anything to wear, there's the Horse Armor, XO2, Hellfire, and Captain Cosmos power armor packs, all of which offer very good protection comparable to the highest tier armors in the base game. If you're looking to spend a few dozen more hours building settlements, then there are quite a few workshop expansion packs that add new items to the workshop, like the Nuka-Cola Collector's Pack or the Coffee and Donuts Pack. Some of these even add safe houses and player homes to dangerous areas of the map, ensuring that you have a place that you can stop and catch your breath when things get tough. But all of this added gameplay fun comes with a heaping sight of bugs, crashes, and just all-around game instability. After starting this project, I noticed a sharp increase in the number of crash to Windows events I suffered. Since I built this tower over a year ago, I can count on one hand the number of times that Fallout 4 has crashed, but I can think of at least 3 I suffered undergoing CC quests. There was also the infamous if you've been following the series, event where the fantasy hero set that adds 2 items to the game, and one of them didn't even spawn in. Some commenters have let me know that the sword can clip through the floor and you can go get it it by just toggling the clip mode, but that's not an option for console users, and frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. There's also a fairly well-known problem with the Tunnel Snakes add-on that somehow prevents you from leaving Vault 111. I don't know how exactly that works, but it's been enough that I've been tempted to turn comments off on the weapons video because this is brought up so often. There's also a significant increase to load times in general, which I think may be related to the added load screens that the Creation Club adds into the game. Considering the fact that Bethesda games are buggy enough without us paying to have more added on top, I think this point cannot be understated. Before we move on, I just wanted to ask that if you're enjoying the video, a like on the content would be deeply appreciated. Viewer engagement is a metric we use to determine the sort of content you actually find value in. Also, if you're interested, we have a sister channel, Grey Galaxies, where we discuss science fiction, mostly Star Wars and Mass Effect related, but everything's fair game. Feel free to check it out when you're done here, and now on to the rest of the video. One thing that the Creation Club content really does well is it fits with any playthrough. As much as people gripe about the Soul Survivor pigeonholing them into a certain style of play or preventing a headcanon narrative from being told, it's not impossible to come up with a reason why you're now a barbaric raider or womanizing pig or heartless bitch. Anyway, most of the Creation Club content really doesn't care what your playstyle is or what your character arc is, what factions you've sided with, heck, even whether you've already completed the game or not. It's all just there. Nothing is time sensitive other than the fact that you now have 20 quests cluttering up your Pip-Boy the instant you leave Vault 111, and I mention that because for some people, clutter is a pretty intolerable circumstance, definitely including myself in that statement. One of the worst things for me as I was working through these quests was the fact that the same resources are reused over and over again by completely different add-ons. Case in point, the Anti-Material Rifle and Nuka-Cola Collector's Pack both require you to go to the Prost Bar in the Boston Common. Both the Noir Penthouse and Captain Cosmos pack add cells inside Hub 360, an unmarked building in the financial district, and almost every damn one of them use the gunners, even the ones that didn't. Just to tell you what I mean, the BFG belongs to a gunner, Prototype Gauss Rifle belongs to a gunner, the Tesla Cannon belongs to a gunnin, the Solar Cannon belongs to a gunner, Gunners versus the Minutemen, okay, that one is obvious. Those Enclave remnants you're fighting, oh, you better believe that's a gunner. Don't believe me?
Gunner down!
Gunners! The amount of reused assets and the fact that virtually every add-on that has an antagonist bases them on the Gunners and the ones that don't base theirs on the Forged for some dumb reason. Okay, Gray, calm down. Remember your mantra. Maxon is a big stupid baby. Okay, I'm fine. What I'm trying to say is that if you plan on acquiring several of these add-ons, just be prepared to go back to places you've already cleared or be prepared to deal with the Gunners. A lot of freaking Gunners. So throughout this video, we've talked a lot about the utility of the Creation Club, how add-ons can add hours of gameplay, can add weapons and armor that fit your playstyle better or make other playstyles more attractive, how new player homes are added, sometimes in locations that really needed them, how many of them tell stories, some of which stick with you for a very long time. But that utility of the Creation Club comes at a terrible cost. No, literally, there's an actual dollar amount. Now, you can usually get the more basic stuff, all the skins content, the more simple weapons packs that don't really have much of a quest involved, sometimes even workshop packs for free, so long as you're patient enough and check back every month or so to see what's being given away. But for the majority of what we've discussed in this series, the ones that come with actual honest-to-goodness quests almost never go for free. You pretty much have to purchase them, and in that regard, none of them is really worth it. That 13.5 hours of gameplay I got out of this experiment cost me 120 real-world dollars, and I already owned some of these. To put that into perspective, at the same time I purchased the non-refundable Bethesda denarius you need to unlock these add-ons, I also picked up Fallout 76, a game that the Todd assures me is 4 times the size of Fallout 4.
4 times the size of Fallout 4.
For less than $11. As of writing this script, you can get the Star Wars Complete Collection, 26 games including classics like Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast, KOTORs 1 and 2, Empire at War, The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, all games that will take way more than 13 hours to beat individually for less than what I spent in the Creation Club. The cost to benefit ratio is really just not there on any of these add-ons. Am I bitter? Well, no, not really. At the end of the day, I was after three main things. I wanted to experiment with something new, and I did. I also wanted to make sure that if there were mistakes to be made, I could warn others so that they know what they're getting into, and I believe I've done that as well. I've been very honest with my opinions and feelings throughout the process, and I noted pretty much every bug and glitch that I ran across other than the crash to Windows things, which, I mean, it's Fallout 4. You're gonna have those eventually anyway. And finally, I just wanted to see if there was anything that was actually good in the Creation Club, and I believe the answer to that question is yes, without a doubt. So all things considered, I spent quite a bit of money, but really no more than some people spend on coffee-flavored sugar milk every month, and I feel like I did get a valuable experience out of it. But now that it's all over, what am I planning on doing with the Creation Club? Honestly, I plan on uninstalling the vast majority of what I've purchased. The instability created the definitive increase in loading times, a cluttered quest log, and 10 minutes of duh sounds every time I try and load an earlier save file just aren't worth the mild improvements that I experienced. None of these are perfect. Even the Captain Cosmos pack, which was the only one of these that actually felt like I was exploring an actual piece of the Fallout universe, adds all of these new shiny vending machines to locations throughout the Commonwealth that instantly catch my attention as I wander by and break my immersion. The few of these that I actually intend to keep are mostly workshop packs: the Nuka-Cola Collector's Pack, Coffee and Donuts Pack, Home Decor Pack, Neon Flats, even though I'm not a huge fan of the quest that it added, and the Noir Penthouse. If I didn't own almost all of them and would be a huge pain to sort through them, I would probably also get rid of the vast majority of skins, since I mostly just stick to the army paint jobs for weapons and armor and the green or patriotic paint jobs for power armor. So here at the end of this journey, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done throughout. Whether you've been with the channel since before I took a chance on what was very experimental content for this channel, whether you found Gray Gaming because of it and decided to stick around, or whether this is your first time watching and you just decided to stick around to the end of this video. Regardless of who you are and how you've contributed to the community here at Gray Gaming, thank you. Stay safe, and we hope to see you here next time.